I wanted to ask a lot, because I read a book, well, I didn't read the whole book because it was annoying, but it was a book which was basically saying, as if it was a revelation, that actually, despite what scientists say, being good and evolving to be kind is the best way forward. Now, in fact, that's something you talked about would it be out in the mid-'80s? You did that
I
show,
often talk about it.
Good Guys Finish First, which was, the UK it was called Horizon, and in the US it would have probably had a different PBS name. Yeah. Nova. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but what are you asking? I mean...
Well, I wonder about... This seems to be with what Ricky's just saying about the idea that if you don't have God, you don't have... Then it will make you this very selfish person. And, of course, your first book has been misunderstood repeatedly for decades. But that understanding of the fact that altruism, kindness, even just beyond the fact that it's fun, isn't it? It's a nice...
Well, the selfish gene is capable of predicting both altruism and selfishness under different circumstances. It's a powerful theory in that sense, and it depends upon the ecological circumstances of the species concerned. So it can go both ways, and in some ways the title Selfish Gene was unfortunate for that reason. It could have been called the altruistic individual. That would have been just as good.
Yeah, I still think it was a mistake calling it the God particle. Because I think that probably is it. Probably was a mistake.
Yeah, I never called it that.
Wasn't it an abbreviation? Wasn't it someone? I've always heard the story that it was someone going the goddamn particle. And someone then went, oh, let's abbreviate it. Went, oh, this abbreviation's been a disaster.
Yes.
I know, but you can't legislate against stupidity, and I think that
it's not always stupidity. I think one of the important things is ignorance. Is we're all ignorant of many things.
Of course we are.
And a lot of times it's not people being stupid. It's working out different ways of getting the truer story out there.
Because it's protected. This is what we were saying. Because people genuinely, if someone genuinely believes, right, that you can't be a good person without believing in God, then you make sure your children believe in God, because you're doing that. You're doing that for their good. You genuinely, and society takes that on board and ostracizes people who dare say I don't believe in God, because they fear they're bad people. They actually believe they're terrible people if they don't have a God. And the strange thing is, people who believe in one God would prefer people to believe in another God than no God at all. There's 2,500 gods to choose from, and it's a very strange belief that you just believe in any God is okay. It's very odd, but they truly think that society will crumble without religion. And
it's a very pessimistic view of human nature, that, actually.
It is, isn't it? And also, it came so late in our evolution. It's been around. Religion's been around for less than 10,000 years, presumably, and even in its most primitive forms.
I don't think we know that, but in the sense of believing in a god of the wind and a god of the sun and things like that.
But believing in something you don't, not knowing something. But I mean, when anything you can call, a religious belief in an almighty power and give it a will, has come very, very late in human evolution, I think.
I worry a bit about the three of us sitting around sort of grumbling about religion. Are we going to come across as...
Let's talk about Darwin.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because that's what I want to talk about. Can we talk about Charles Darwin?
Let's talk about Charles Darwin.
This is something that I found when I was on tour recently, and I was reading out from the formation of vegetable mould through the action of worms with observations on their habits. And I think there's that beautiful story where you have, Darwin with his son playing the bassoon to worms. Yeah. And I think it's quite... And I would read it out and people... what is it? Do you've studied him, and I know that you are a huge amount. There's something about his mind. What is it? Are you able to see what is it about his mind that had this perpetual curiosity?
The moment you start reading Darwin, you feel you've been ushered into the presence of a great mind. He wasn't mathematical, and I sort of have a bit of an inferiority complex about mathematics, but nevertheless, Darwin got it when Newton didn't, and Aristotle didn't, and Plato didn't, and Hume didn't, and all the great thinkers didn't get it until Darwin, and then Wallace a tiny bit later, got the point. They both actually were great, great minds. It's been said that Darwin was working 100 years ahead of his time, and he was. When you read him, you feel his wisdom flows over into geology, into ecology, into all sorts of other fields, everything except genetics, which he got totally wrong. As you say, he had immense curiosity. He was a curious observer. He corresponded with people all over the world, getting more and more material, more and more ammunition for his theory. I have enormous admiration for him.